Rain explodes against the windshield as the sleek black car jerks once, twice, then dies in the middle of the empty highway. The dashboard lights blink red like warning flares. Steam curls from the hood. The storm roars across the dark farmland, wind pushing sheets of water across the asphalt. Sterling Vance grips the steering wheel, jaw tight, staring at the dead screen in front of him. His car never fails. His world never stalls. Yet here he sits, stranded on a lonely road with thunder rolling overhead and no signal on his phone. Have you ever been in a moment where everything in your life stopped working at the same time? What would you do if the one person who changed your life forever appeared out of nowhere? Listen closely, because this story begins on a night that will change a billionaire's future. Hi, my beautiful family. Welcome back to Mr. Peterson Love Stories, your own family story channel. May peace rest on everyone listening right now. May your home be filled with protection, joy, and the kind of unexpected blessings that arrive when life seems hardest. Amen. Sterling pushes open the door. Cold rain hits his face instantly. The air smells like wet dirt and engine heat. Lightning splits the sky and reveals endless rows of farmland stretching into darkness. A billionaire worth billions of dollars, standing helpless on a roadside. He taps his phone again. No signal. The highway is empty. No headlights, no gas station signs, only the steady drum of rain on metal and the distant rumble of thunder rolling through the countryside. He walks around the car and lifts the hood. Steam rises in white clouds. The engine clicks and hisses like it's exhausted from the fight. Sterling rubs the back of his neck. In New York, problems disappear with a phone call. Out here, the silence answers him instead. Then a small voice cuts through the rain. "Chut, you look stuck." Sterling turns sharply. Standing near the ditch beside the road is a little girl holding a purple umbrella that looks almost bigger than she is. Water drips from the edges, while colorful beads at the ends of her braids tap softly together in the wind. She studies him with calm eyes. Sterling blinks once, surprised. "Yeah," he says slowly. "I guess I am." The girl steps a little closer, rain splashing around her boots. "My mom can help you." Sterling almost laughs. He's not in a cruel way, just the reflex of someone used to solving problems with engineers and private mechanics, not children with umbrellas. "That's kind of you," he says, forcing a polite smile. "But I'm pretty sure your mom doesn't fix cars like this." The girl tilts her head slightly as if the idea sounds strange to her. "She fixes people." Sterling pauses. Thunder rolls again across the sky. "Fixes people?" he repeats. The girl nods once. Sterling studies her more closely now. She looks about 6 or 7 years old. Small backpack, bright yellow rain boots, calm expression that doesn't match the storm around them. "What's your name?" he asks. "Nia." "Well, Nia," Sterling says, "I appreciate the offer, but I don't want to bother your family." Nia points down a narrow gravel road barely visible through the rain. "She lives right there." In the distance, a faint line of warm house lights glows through the darkness. Sterling hesitates. The wind pushes harder, unrattling the open hood of the car. He looks at the dead dashboard again, then back at the girl. "You came all the way out here by yourself?" he asks. "I was walking home from my friend's house," she replies simply. Lightning flashes again. For a second, the world turns white. Sterling exhales slowly. A billionaire standing alone in a storm, being offered help by a child. If someone told him this story yesterday, he would have laughed. Nia begins walking down the gravel road. "Come on," she calls over her shoulder, "before the rain gets worse." Sterling glances at the empty highway one last time. Then, for reasons he can't fully explain, he follows her. The gravel crunches under his expensive shoes. Rain runs down the collar of his coat. The storm grows louder around them, wind bending tall grass along the roadside. Nia walks calmly ahead, holding the purple umbrella steady. Sterling studies the small silhouette moving through the rain. Something about her confidence feels unusual. Children usually ask questions. She doesn't. She just walks as if she already knows this night matters. After a minute, Sterling speaks again. "So your mom helps people?" "Yes." "How?" She listens. The answer makes him raise an eyebrow. Listening fixes people. "Sometimes." They continue walking. The gravel road curves gently toward the cluster of lights in the distance. In warm yellow windows glow through the rain like small islands of comfort. Sterling suddenly realizes how quiet his life has been lately. Not quiet in noise, quiet in connection. Boardrooms, airports, hotels, always moving, always building, always chasing the next victory, but rarely stopping. The rain softens slightly as they approach the houses. Nia steps onto a narrow wooden porch in front of a small white home. The light from inside spills through the window, warm and steady. The laughter from a television drifts through the walls. Sterling stands awkwardly near the steps. "Your mom's inside?" he asks. Nia nods and knocks on the door. Sterling adjusts his coat and glances back toward the road they came from. The storm still sweeps across the farmland behind them. Footsteps approach from inside the house. The door opens. A woman stands there holding a kitchen towel in one hand. Her eyes lift toward the porch. Then everything freezes. The towel slips slowly from her fingers. Sterling feels the air leave his lungs. He knows that face. 7 years may have passed, but the recognition hits instantly. "Ilara?" he whispers. The woman doesn't answer. Her expression shifts from surprise to disbelief. Nia looks between them. "Mom," she says brightly, "I found him stuck in the rain." But neither adult hears her clearly, because both of them are staring at each other like ghosts from a life neither expected to see again. On and behind Sterling, across the dark road, a pair of headlights flickers on in the distance. Someone else has just arrived, and they are watching the house very carefully. The rain keeps falling as the front door remains open. For a moment, no one moves. Sterling Vance stands frozen on the small wooden porch, water dripping from the edge of his coat onto the floorboards. The warm light from the house spills across his face, revealing the shock that has not left his eyes. Ilara Brooks grips the edge of the doorframe. Her breathing slows, but the tension in her shoulders does not. 7 years have passed, yet the man standing on her porch looks almost the same. Taller than most people, calm posture, expensive watch catching the light. The kind of man who usually walks into boardrooms instead of rainstorms. Only tonight he looks lost. Nia glances between them with open curiosity. "You two know each other?" she asks. Neither adult answers right away. See thunder rolls across the sky again, louder now, shaking the windows. Ilara finally steps aside. "You're soaking wet," she says quietly. "Come inside before you bring the whole storm with you." Sterling hesitates for a fraction of a second, then steps into the house. The warmth hits him instantly. The living room smells like fresh cornbread and laundry detergent. A soft yellow lamp lights the corner beside a worn couch. A small television plays a comedy show, but the canned laughter echoing faintly through the room. The place is simple, but it feels alive. Sterling hasn't stepped into a home like this in years. Nia closes the door behind him and drops her umbrella into a plastic bin near the wall. "Mom fixes people," she says proudly. "I told him." Ilara shoots her a quick look. "That's enough for now, baby," she says gently. Sterling clears his throat. "I didn't realize this was your house." Alara folds her arms loosely across her chest. So you didn't realize a lot of things back then. The words hang in the air. The television laughter continues in the background, strangely out of place. Nia walks past them toward the kitchen counter where a small plate of cookies sits beside a glass of milk. She takes one and climbs onto a stool, swinging her legs as she listens. Sterling notices the photos on the wall. Family pictures, school drawings, a birthday photo taped to the refrigerator. Yet in the center of it all stands Nia, smiling wide, holding a cake with 7 candles. Sterling's eyes linger there longer than he means to. "How old is she?" he asks quietly. Alara doesn't answer right away. She reaches for the towel she dropped earlier and wipes rainwater from the floor. 7, she says finally. The number hits Sterling like a sudden drop in an elevator. 7 years. His mind moves fast. 7 years ago was when he left Charlotte. Yet 7 years ago was when everything between him and Ilara ended. His eyes drift slowly back to Nia. She is laughing at something on the TV now. Cookie crumbs on her fingers. Completely unaware of the storm that just walked into her home. Sterling studies her face more carefully. The shape of her eyes. The small dimple near her cheek when she smiles. Something about it feels familiar. A thought begins forming in the back of his mind. One he is not ready to say out loud. "So, Mom?" Nia calls from the kitchen. "Can he stay until the rain stops?" Ilara looks at Sterling again. For a moment, the past flashes across her face. Memories of long talks on apartment balconies, shared dreams, arguments that lasted through the night. Then the expression disappears. "He can stay until the storm passes," she says simply. Nia grins. "See? I told you she could help." Sterling forces a small smile. "Yeah," he says. You did." Ilara walks toward the kitchen sink and pours a cup of hot tea from a kettle on the stove. Steam curls into the air. She sets the mug on the table in front of him. "Drink this," she says. "You look like you just wrestled a hurricane." Sterling wraps his hands around the warm cup. The heat spreads through his fingers. "Thanks." They sit in silence for a moment. Rain taps steadily against the windows. Nia hums softly to herself while stacking cookies into a tiny tower on her plate. Sterling glances at Ilara again. "You look good," he says carefully. She raises an eyebrow. "That's your opening line after 7 years?" It wasn't meant to be a line. Another short silence follows. Sterling shifts slightly in the chair. "I didn't know you were here," he says. "You didn't try to find out," Ilara replies. The words land calmly but firmly. Sterling nods once. "That's fair." Nia suddenly jumps off the stool and runs toward the hallway. "Mom, can I show him my toy cars?" Ilara opens her mouth to answer, but the girl is already gone. Moments later she returns carrying a small plastic box filled with tiny race cars. She places it on the floor and begins lining them up carefully. Sterling watches her. Each car is placed with serious attention, as if she's organizing a miniature racetrack. "You like cars?" he asks. She nods without looking up. "The fast ones." Sterling chuckles softly. "I like those too." She finally looks up at him. "Do you have a lot of cars?" "Maybe a few." "How many?" Sterling thinks for a moment. "More than I probably need." Nia studies him again, with that same curious calm she had on the road. "You talk like the people on TV," she says. "What people?" "The ones in the business shows." Ilara glances up sharply. "You watch those?" "Sometimes," Nia shrugs. Sterling smiles slightly. "Well, maybe you've seen me on one of them." Nia tilts her head. "What's your name again?" "Sterling." She repeats it slowly. "Sterling Vance?" The room goes quiet. Sterling blinks once. "Yeah," Nia's eyes widen. "Mom!" she says loudly. "He's that money man." Ilara sighs. "Yes, baby, I know." Sterling shifts uncomfortably. "I'm not just that." Nia walks closer, studying him as if he's a museum exhibit. Do you really buy companies?" "Sometimes." "Do you have a jet?" "Sometimes." "Do you have a yacht?" "Sometimes." She turns back toward her mother. "Mom, he's rich." Ilara exhales slowly. Yes, Nia, I'm aware." Sterling rubs the back of his neck. "I didn't come here to talk about money." Nia shrugs and returns to her toy cars. Outside, the storm begins to soften slightly. But something else happens at the same time. Headlights sweep briefly across the living room window. Sterling notices it first. A dark SUV is parked across the road now. Its engine idles quietly. The driver's silhouette remains still behind the glass. Sterling leans slightly toward the window. "You expecting someone?" Ilara looks up. The moment she sees the vehicle, the color drains slightly from her face. "No," she says quietly. Nia doesn't notice. She continues lining up her cars on the floor. Sterling watches the SUV. The headlights turn off, but the engine keeps running. Oh, whoever is inside the vehicle is not leaving. Sterling looks back at Ilara. "You know them?" Ilara doesn't answer immediately. Her eyes stay fixed on the dark shape outside. Then she says something that makes Sterling's stomach tighten. "That's Marcus Hale." "Who's Marcus Hale?" Ilara folds her arms slowly. "The man who has been trying to take everything from this town." Sterling glances toward the window again. The SUV door suddenly opens. A tall figure steps out into the rain. And the way that man walks toward the house makes one thing very clear. He already knows Sterling Vance is inside, and he is not happy about it. The knock on the door is slow, heavy, deliberate. 3 solid thuds echo through the small house. Nia looks up from the floor where she is lining up her toy cars. "Someone's here," she says casually. But the adults in the room already know that. Ilara's shoulders tighten as she walks toward the door. The wooden floor creaks under her steps. Sterling rises from the chair beside the kitchen table without even thinking about it. Outside, rain continues to fall across the porch roof, tapping like fingers on metal. The knock comes again. Louder this time. Ilara stops near the door and takes a slow breath before opening it. Marcus Hale stands on the porch, tall, broad shoulders, dark coat soaked with rain. Water drips from the edge of his hat and slides down the sides of his face. His eyes move past Ilara immediately. They lock on Sterling. For a moment, no one speaks. Marcus smiles, but the expression carries no warmth. "Well," he says slowly, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation, "I guess the rumors travel fast." Sterling straightens slightly. "Do I know you?" Marcus shuts the door behind him and wipes rain from his hands. Marcus Hale. The name hangs in the room. Sterling watches him closely. Marcus moves with the confidence of a man who believes every room belongs to him. Nia looks at him curiously from the floor. "Mom, who's that?" Ilara answers without taking her eyes off Marcus. "Just someone from town." Marcus glances down at the little girl and forces a friendly tone. "Evening, Nia." She gives a polite wave. "Hi?" Sterling studies the exchange. "You two seem familiar." Marcus chuckles quietly. "In small towns, everyone knows everyone." He walks farther into the living room, glancing around the house like he's inspecting it. His gaze finally lands back on Sterling. "I didn't expect to see a man like you here tonight." Sterling folds his arms. "My car broke down." Marcus nods slowly. "Funny how life works." Ilara steps forward. "Why are you here, Marcus?" Marcus turns toward her. Checking on my future property. The room goes silent. Sterling looks between them. What property? Marcus gestures casually toward the house. This land. Nia stops playing with the toy cars. What do you mean? She asks. Aunt Marcus crouches slightly to her level. Your mom didn't tell you yet? Alara's voice sharpens. Marcus? He raises his hands as if calming the situation. Relax, I'm just having a conversation. Sterling's eyes narrow. What's he talking about? Alara keeps her focus on Marcus. He's been trying to buy this land for years. Marcus corrects her quickly. Not just this land. He gestures toward the dark windows. The whole block. Sterling looks around the small living room again. A family pictures. Children's drawings. The warm glow of the lamp beside the couch. This place is someone's life. You planning to build something here? Sterling asks. Marcus nods proudly. Luxury apartments, shops, parking structure, the kind of development that brings real money into places like this. Nia wrinkles her nose. That sounds boring. Marcus laughs. Maybe to you. Ilara steps between him and the girl. We're not selling. Marcus sighs as if hearing the same sentence too many times. Ilara, we've been over this. No, she says firmly. You've been over it. I've been clear from the start. Sterling watches both of them. The tension between them feels old. Deep. Marcus turns slightly toward him. You see the problem, Mr. Vance. Sterling raises an eyebrow. You know who I am. Marcus smiles again. Of course I do. Everyone does. Sterling waits. Marcus continues. Which makes your timing interesting. My timing? Marcus nods toward Nia. Showing up here tonight of all nights. Sterling glances down at the little girl. What's tonight? Marcus leans against the wall casually. The final notice. Ilara closes her eyes briefly. Sterling looks back at her. What final notice? Marcus answers before she can. The city approved my development permit this morning. The words land hard in the room. Sterling turns fully toward Ilara. So, that means... Marcus finishes the sentence. It means the clinic goes down first. Nia looks confused. What clinic? Ilara kneels beside her daughter. The community clinic, baby. The place where you help people. Yes, Nia frowns. They can't tear that down. Marcus shrugs. City council says otherwise. Sterling's jaw tightens. And you're just going to bulldoze it? Marcus spreads his hands. Progress requires sacrifice. The room grows quiet again. Rain continues tapping against the windows. Sterling studies Marcus carefully now. What do you gain from this project? Marcus laughs lightly. Besides, millions of dollars? Sterling doesn't smile. Marcus leans closer to him. You should understand that better than anyone. Sterling holds his gaze. Money isn't always the point. Marcus smirks. That's easy to say when you already have billions. Ilara stands again. This conversation is over. Marcus straightens his coat. Chill, not quite. He pulls a folded document from his pocket and places it on the kitchen table. Water drips from the edges of the paper. Ilara Brooks, he says calmly. You have 48 hours before the demolition order begins. Nia looks between them. What's demolition? Ilara doesn't answer. Marcus glances at Sterling one last time. You might want to stay out of this, he says. Sterling steps closer. Or what? Marcus smiles again. Chill, or you might learn small towns have their own rules. He walks to the door and opens it. Rain and wind rush in again. Before leaving, he turns back. Oh, he adds, one more thing. His eyes shift from Sterling to Nia. Family secrets tend to come out when pressure hits. Sterling's stomach tightens slightly. Marcus tips his hat. Then he steps back into the storm. The SUV engine roars to life moments later. No headlights sweep across the house before the vehicle disappears down the dark road. Inside, the silence feels heavier than before. Nia looks at her mother. "Mom, are they really going to break your clinic?" Ilara kneels again and brushes a hand gently over her daughter's hair. "We'll figure something out." Sterling looks at the document on the table. 48 hours. He glances toward the hallway where family photos line the wall. Then his eyes return to Nia. The resemblance he noticed earlier becomes clearer with every second. The shape of her eyes, the way she tilts her head when she thinks. Sterling swallows slowly. He turns to Ilara. "How old did you say she was again?" Ilara's gaze hardens slightly. "You heard me the first time." 7. Sterling nods. 7 years. 7 years since the last time he saw her. 7 years since the night everything between them ended. He looks back at Nia. She is pushing her toy cars across the floor again, making soft engine noises under her breath. Completely unaware of the storm now building around her life. Sterling's voice lowers. "Ilara, is she—" Ilara cuts him off instantly. "You should sit down." Sterling doesn't move. He keeps staring at the little girl, because the more he looks, the more impossible it becomes to ignore what he's beginning to realize. And when Nia suddenly glances up at him and smiles, Sterling sees his own eyes staring back at him. The hallway fills with the sharp echo of running feet. Security guards burst through the ballroom doors, their black shoes slamming the marble floor like gunshots. Guests step back quickly, chairs scraping, glasses clinking against tables as whispers ripple through the room. At the center of it all, Nia still stands frozen. Her palm rests lightly against the piano. The final note she played lingers in the air like a fading breath. Across the room, Elijah Whitmore walks straight toward her. Not slowly, not casually, purposefully. Every step quiets the crowd further. People hold their breath. Because the most powerful billionaire in the room looks like a man who has just seen a ghost. The guards stop beside him. "Elijah," one whispers urgently. "The board members are asking if everything is okay." Elijah does not even glance at him. His eyes remain locked on Nia. "Nia Carter," he says again. The sound of her name sends another wave of murmurs through the room. Nia swallows hard. Her fingers curl against the piano keys. How does he know her name? She has never met this man before tonight. She forces her voice to work. I should go." She begins stepping away from the piano, but Elijah raises a hand. The movement is calm, quiet, yet somehow the entire room stops moving. "Wait." One word. That's all it takes. The guards hesitate. Guests freeze mid-step. Even the violinist near the stage slowly lowers his instrument. Nia stops. Her heart pounds so loudly she can hear it inside her ears. Elijah finally reaches the stage. He steps up slowly, close enough now that she can see the details of his face. His eyes, dark brown, sharp, searching her face like he is reading a page from a book he lost years ago. "You learned that song from your mother," he says quietly. Nia's chest tightens. A strange chill crawls down her spine. "My mother passed away," she answers carefully. A flicker crosses Elijah's face. Pain. Real pain. "When?" he asks. 5 years ago." The words feel heavy, leaving her mouth. Elijah looks down at the piano keys. His hand slowly reaches forward. His finger presses one key. A soft note rings out, then another. 3 notes, a simple pattern. But Nia's breath catches instantly, because she recognizes it. For her mother used to play those exact 3 notes before teaching her any new song. It was their signal, their little ritual, "Where did you learn that?" Nia whispers. Elijah's jaw tightens. He lifts his eyes again. "I used to play it for someone," he says quietly. "For someone I loved very much." The room feels smaller suddenly, the air heavier. Nia's chest rises and falls faster. Something about this moment feels wrong. Or maybe too right. Behind Elijah, so the head of security steps closer. "Sir," he murmurs urgently, "the media cameras are still live. The board wants you backstage." Elijah barely turns his head. "Give us a minute." The guard hesitates, then nods reluctantly and steps back. The crowd begins whispering again. Phones rise. People record. Because something strange is happening. The billionaire who controls half the city is standing silently in front of a waitress. And the look in his eyes is shaking everyone. See, Elijah turns fully toward Nia again. "Your mother," he says softly. "What was her name?" Nia hesitates. She has spent years avoiding conversations like this, years dodging questions. But something about his voice pulls the answer out of her before she can stop it. "Danielle Carter." The reaction is instant. Elijah steps back like someone punched him. His hand grips the piano edge. A glass shatters somewhere in the crowd. Nia watches his face carefully. Shock, recognition, and something deeper. Something almost like regret. "You're certain?" he asks. "That was her name?" Nia nods slowly. "Yes." Elijah closes his eyes briefly. A deep breath fills his lungs. When he opens them again, they shine with something raw, something dangerous. "Did she ever tell you about a man named Elijah Whitmore?" The question hits Nia like cold water. Her stomach twists. Because she remembers something. A memory from years ago. A night when she was 12. Her mother sitting at the piano with a glass of wine. Quiet tears sliding down her face. And one name whispered softly into the empty room. Elijah. Nia's pulse jumps. "My mother didn't talk much about the past," she answers slowly. "But I remember that name." The crowd leans closer, phones still recording. Elijah studies her face again, carefully, like someone comparing two photographs. "You have her eyes," he says quietly. The words send a strange warmth through Nia's chest. Before she can respond, a loud voice cuts through the room. "Elijah!" Everyone turns. A tall woman pushes through the crowd. Sharp heels, diamond necklace, cold expression. Vanessa Whitmore, Elijah's wife. Her eyes lock immediately onto Nia, then onto the piano, then back to Elijah. "What exactly is going on here?" Vanessa demands. The tension in the room spikes instantly. Elijah's jaw tightens. Vanessa steps closer to the stage. "You stopped the entire gala," she continues, Lon's voice rising. "For a waitress?" Her eyes rake across Nia like a blade. "Security told me she's staff." Nia lowers her gaze. The humiliation burns hot against her skin. But Elijah speaks before Vanessa can continue. "Enough!" The single word is calm, but firm. Vanessa turns toward him slowly. "Elijah, the investors are waiting. This charity event is being broadcast across 3 networks. And you're standing here talking to someone important," Elijah interrupts. Vanessa freezes. So explain it," she snaps, "because right now it looks ridiculous." The room goes silent again. Elijah turns toward Nia, then back to Vanessa. His voice lowers. "This woman," he says slowly, "might be connected to someone I lost 23 years ago." The words drop like stones. Vanessa laughs sharply. "Oh, please." But Elijah doesn't smile. He doesn't move. And suddenly, Vanessa's confidence falters. "You're serious," she says quietly. Elijah nods once. "So, yes." The silence that follows feels electric. Nia's heart pounds harder. What is he saying? Connected how? Vanessa crosses her arms tightly. "Even if that's true," she says coldly. "This is still embarrassing. You're the CEO of Whitmore Global, Elijah, not some man chasing old ghosts in front of cameras." Elijah turns slowly toward her. "I think you should go back to the investors." Vanessa's eyes narrow. "And leave you alone with her?" "Yes." The answer lands heavy. Vanessa stares at him for several seconds. Then at Nia. Something calculating moves behind her eyes. Finally, she leans closer to Elijah. Her voice drops to a whisper, but the microphone near the stage picks it up clearly. "Be careful," she murmurs. "Digging up the past can destroy everything you've built." Then she straightens. Her heels click sharply as she walks away. The tension she leaves behind feels like a storm waiting to break. Elijah turns back to Nia again. So the crowd still watches, but his focus is entirely on her. "There's something I need to ask you," he says quietly. Nia nods slowly. Elijah reaches into his jacket pocket. He pulls out an old photograph. Worn. Edges faded. He places it gently on the piano. Nia leans closer, and her breath stops. Because the photo shows a young woman sitting at a piano, laughing. Her mother, standing beside her in the picture, is a much younger Elijah Whitmore, his arm wrapped around Danielle Carter. And in the corner of the photo, written in faded ink, "Forever, Elijah and Danielle." Nia's fingers tremble. "Where did you get this?" she whispers. Elijah's voice comes out rough. "I took it." The room spins slightly around her. Guests whisper louder now, phones recording everything. Elijah watches her reaction closely. Then he asks the question that freezes the air again. "Saina, did your mother ever tell you who your father was?" The words slam into her chest. Her throat tightens. "No," she answers slowly. Elijah inhales deeply, like a man standing on the edge of something life-changing. Because if the truth he fears is real, everything about this night is about to explode. And before Nia can even process the moment, a security guard rushes back into the ballroom. "Mr. Whitmore," he shouts urgently. Elijah turns sharply. "What?" The guard's face looks pale. "You need to see this right now." He holds up a tablet screen. Elijah grabs it. His eyes widen instantly. Because across every major news network, a breaking headline flashes. "Mystery woman interrupts billionaire CEO's charity gala." "Secret daughter rumors explode online." The crowd erupts into chaos. Nia's heart stops. Elijah slowly lowers the tablet and looks directly at her again. But this time, the truth in his eyes changes everything. Because now the entire world is asking the same terrifying question. Is Nia Carter actually Elijah Whitmore's daughter? And if that rumor spreads any further, someone powerful will do anything to bury the truth. What do you think Elijah just realized when he saw that photograph beside Nia? Why do you think Vanessa warned him about the past destroying everything? And the biggest question, if Nia really is connected to Elijah, why did her mother keep the secret for 23 years? Morning arrives slowly over the farmland. The storm has passed, leaving the world washed clean. Mist floats above the fields like thin silver smoke, while sunlight pushes through heavy clouds. Inside the small white house, Sterling Vance has not slept. He stands by the kitchen window with a cup of coffee that has long gone cold. Across the room, Nia sits on the floor with her toy cars again. She pushes them across the wooden boards, making soft engine sounds. Sterling watches her quietly. Every movement reminds him of something. The way she concentrates, the small crease that appears on her forehead when she's thinking. He remembers seeing that same expression in a mirror when he was younger. Behind him, Ilara walks into the kitchen. She stops when she sees Sterling still awake. "You should have slept," she says. Sterling doesn't turn around. I kept thinking. About Marcus? Sterling finally looks at her. No. His eyes drift toward Nia again. Ush, about 7 years? Ilara's expression hardens. Sterling! You left without saying anything. I had my reasons. And those reasons included raising a child alone? The room becomes very still. Nia looks up briefly, but continues playing. Ilara walks closer. You don't get to walk back into our lives and start asking questions. Sterling lowers his voice. Then answer one. She folds her arms. What? Sterling's gaze moves slowly to Nia. Is she mine? Silence crashes into the room. Nia continues playing with the cars, unaware that her entire world is hanging on the answer. Ilara closes her eyes for a moment. Then she says quietly, Yes. Sterling feels the ground shift under his feet. The confirmation lands heavier than any business loss he has ever faced. Why didn't you tell me? He asks. Ilara's eyes fill with emotion. Because when you left Charlotte, you chose your empire over us. Sterling's voice tightens. I didn't know she existed. You never stayed long enough to find out. Before Sterling can answer, a loud engine roars outside. Both adults turn toward the window. 3 black trucks pull onto the gravel road. Marcus Hale's logo is printed clearly on the doors. Sterling's jaw tightens. Looks like the war just started. The trucks stop in front of the clinic. Construction workers begin unloading orange cones and metal barriers. Nia watches from the porch. Mom, she whispers, why are they putting things around your clinic? Ilara grips the porch railing. They're trying to scare us. Marcus steps out of the lead truck. His smile returns when he sees Sterling standing beside Ilara. Well, look at that, he calls. The billionaire stayed the night. Sterling walks toward him calmly. You're early. Marcus shrugs. I like to start work on time. Sterling gestures toward the clinic. That building helps this town. Marcus laughs. It sits on land worth $20 million. Sterling steps closer. What if someone offered you more to leave it alone? Marcus studies him carefully. You planning to play hero? Sterling answers calmly. I'm planning to make an offer. Marcus leans in. Too late. He holds up a document. Demolition starts tomorrow. Nia grips her mother's hand tighter. Sterling watches Marcus walk away. Then he turns to Ilara. I'm not letting him destroy this place. Ilara studies him carefully. Why? Sterling looks at Nia. Because some things matter more than money. By afternoon, the news spreads across town. Sterling Vance is in Brookfield. The billionaire investor. The man who buys companies worth billions. People gather outside the clinic. Farmers, teachers, parents whose children were treated there. Marcus watches the growing crowd from his office. One of his assistants enters quickly. Good, sir? Yeah, the investors are nervous. Marcus frowns. Why? They heard Sterling Vance might buy the land. Marcus slams his desk. He can't. But deep down, he knows Sterling can. And worse, Sterling might be doing it, for a reason Marcus doesn't understand yet. That evening, Sterling sits with Nia on the porch steps. She holds one of her toy cars. You really have a jet? She asks. Sterling smiles slightly. Yes. Can it go faster than these? She asks, holding up the toy. Probably. She thinks about that. Do you fly it? Sometimes. Nia studies him carefully. You're nice for a rich guy. Sterling laughs softly. I'll take that as a compliment. Then she asks the question he feared. Why are you helping my mom? Sterling pauses. Because the truth is bigger than she understands. I care about her, he says. Nia nods slowly. That's good. Then she adds quietly, I wish my dad cared about us, too. Sterling feels something tighten in his chest. Hunt soon? She will know. The next morning, Marcus arrives with bulldozers. The machines rumble loudly beside the clinic. Workers prepare to begin demolition. Marcus steps forward with a satisfied smile. Last chance, he says to Ilara. Move! But then another convoy arrives. Black luxury SUVs. Sterling steps out of the first one. Behind him are lawyers, investors, city officials. Marcus's smile disappears. Sterling hands him a document. What's this? Marcus asks. See the new property deed. Marcus scans it quickly. Impossible. Sterling bought the land overnight. All of it. The clinic. The block. Every inch Marcus planned to destroy. You can't do this, Marcus growls. Sterling answers calmly. I already did. The crowd behind them erupts in cheers. Marcus stares at him with pure hatred. This isn't over. Sterling steps closer. No. His voice becomes colder. It just started. 2 weeks later, the clinic is busier than ever. Then Sterling funded a full renovation. New equipment, new doctors, but Ilara still runs the place, just like before. Nia runs across the grass toward the porch where Sterling is standing. Guess what? She says excitedly. What? I learned how to ride my bike without training wheels. That's impressive. She grins proudly. Then she asks quietly, Mom said you wanted to talk to me. Sterling kneels down so they're eye level. There's something important you should know. Nia tilts her head. What? Sterling takes a slow breath. You asked before why your dad never visited. She nods. Well, his voice softens. I didn't know you existed. Nia blinks, then her eyes widen slowly. Wait. Sterling smiles gently. Yes. Her voice becomes a whisper. You're my dad? Sterling nods. For a moment, she just stares. Then, suddenly, she throws her arms around his neck. You're late, she says. Sudden Sterling laughs softly while hugging her back. I know. Behind them, Ilara watches from the porch. Her eyes shine with tears. Sterling looks up at her. And for the first time in years, hope replaces regret. Because sometimes the greatest fortunes in life aren't built in boardrooms. They're found in second chances. And the love that was always worth the cost